Yo, what's going on everyone? It's Z Karma here, back with another Cyberpunk 2077 breakdown video. In this one, we're going to be breaking down every single skill in the cool tree. So if you enjoy this video or find it helpful in any way, feel free to drop a like. And if you want to subscribe for more content, you can do so as well. Starting off with feline footwork. This is going to increase my movement speed and mitigation chance while crouching. So let me just show an example. I took it off. When I crouch, this is my movement speed in 1.57, but if I activate that perk, obviously that's going to go up. And there you go. My movement speed is now 1.8. And my mitigation chance goes up to 15%. It was at 0. So it's at 15% now. Then we have small target, plus 20% mitigation chance when crouched and not moving. So I'm going to activate it. I'm gonna walk a little bit real quick, but then we're gonna stop so I can activate 35%. So that's just the beginning. That's all I had to do at first. Now I can just like crouch and it'll be activated. So we're good. 35% now. And of course, if I check it while moving, that is back down to 15%. When I stop, it goes back up to 35. Anyway, the next perk I want to go over is Unexposed. This one says plus 20% mitigation chance when aiming from cover. Now this one, check this out. So this is aiming from cover. And you can also do it like this, right? But I'm going to do it standing up. And if I check my stats, there is no change. I don't have any mitigation chance. Obviously, if I crouch and I do that, I'm going to be getting the mitigation chance from the other perks, so 35%, but not the aiming from cover. However, obviously I did test this by itself, so standing up in order to not have any mitigation chance from anything else. And I was mitigating damage with that perk. And I also tested it without the perk, and I could not mitigate damage from cover. So that means that this one, even though I can't get it to reflect in the stat screen, does work. Then we have Blind Spot. When crouched, the higher your mitigation chance, the longer it takes for enemies to detect you. Now, this one took me quite a while to test, but I ended up finding out that it definitely works. I increased my mitigation chance to 50%, and enemies were taking more than twice the amount of time to find me, standing in the same spot, and this was happening consistently. Next up, we have Ninjutsu. At level 1, it increases crouch movement speed even further, and at level 2, it increases mitigation chance by 15% when crouched. And at level 3, it unlocks the ability to sprint while crouching, which, if you are playing stealthy, is actually amazing. You move so fast. The only thing is that you waste stamina really quickly. However, we have Shinobi Sprint, which reduces the stamina cost of crouch sprinting by 75%, which really helps. You also have Serpentine. It increases mitigation chance by 30% when crouch sprinting, and unfortunately, you cannot really tell if this works. So, check this out. I'm gonna crouch walk, and this is my stats right now. 30% mitigation chance. I'm getting 30% mitigation chance, 15% from here, and 15% from this level 2. I'm not standing still, so I'm not getting this one. So I'm getting these two. That's 30%. So if I activate it, and now crouch sprint, if I try to check, it stays at 30%. Unfortunately, I cannot isolate this perk like I did this one, so I cannot test it. Not even with the mod. I tried using a mod that allows you to pick any perk freely without having to pick the ones before. However, in order for this one to actually work, you need to crouch sprint, which means that I have to choose this one because it's going to crouch sprint. And I have to go through level 2 to reach level 3, and level 2 already gives you mitigation chance. So it's really hard to test whether or not this perk works. If any modders out there can send me a mod real quick where I can crouch sprint without having to use this perk, then I'll be able to test this. Anyway, next up we have Creeping Death. When optical camo is active or you are undetected, neutralizing an enemy grants you 15% health, 15% stamina, and increased movement speed by 10% for 6 seconds. For anyone wondering, optical camo is actually a piece of cyberware. Goes in the integumentary system, and then it takes your grenade slot. So if you go to inventory, and switch out the grenade for optical camo, I can activate optical camo. Anyway, the point is, if you get a kill with optical camo active or while you are undetected, your health will be regen by 50%, your stamina will be regen by 15%, and you gain 10% movement speed increase for 6 seconds. And then we have Vanishing Act, which is amazing. It basically makes your optical camo a passive. So let me explain. This makes optical camo activate automatically and consumes its charge gradually while crouch sprinting and sliding. So let me just show it off right now. We're gonna crouch sprint and look at optical camo. I have optical camo, and you can also do it by sliding. There you go. See that? That's pretty cool. And the best thing about that is that you can actually equip a grenade instead and play with the grenade and actually use your optical camo this way. That's awesome, I think. So it basically makes your optical camo a passive, which is amazing. Moving on, we have Killer Instinct. You gain 25% damage with knives, axes, and silence guns outside of combat. They also provide a preview of estimated damage. So here's how it works. When you aim at an enemy out of combat, a part of their health bar will be grayed out. And that grayed out part is the estimated damage you're gonna do. From my experience, you actually do a bit more damage than what it says. So if you see like a little portion that's not gonna be covered, more than likely they are gonna die. Next, we have Quick Getaway. You gain 10% movement speed after neutralizing an enemy while undetected. It lasts for 30 seconds or until you are detected, and it stacks twice. And on screen, you can see a side by side. Next, we have Gag Order. This one says, landing an attack on an enemy right after they detect you will delay detection from other nearby enemies. Now, this one took me so long to test, like 3 or 4 days of testing, because I was testing it wrong. And I finally figured it out. So here's how it works. Normally, when you are doing stealth jobs or gigs where there's a certain area with enemies that communicate with each other, if an enemy sees you, you basically in combat and everyone in the building knows where you're at. Okay, that's how it works. If you don't immediately kill them, every enemy in the area is going to know where you're at. However, with this perk, if you shoot the enemy right after they detect you, you basically get plenty of time to get rid of them without alerting the other enemies. And I say plenty, I don't know how long exactly, but as you can see from this example, I took my time killing him and I immediately removed combat state when he dies. And that happened every time. So this is how Gag Order works. Which sounds obvious by the title, but it just doesn't work on like enemies you find in the street. And that's how I was testing it. It works in like areas where enemies have like communication with each other. You know what I mean. Anyway, moving on, we have Scorpion Sting. At level 1, it reduces recovery time of throwable weapons by 15%. And at level 2 is what's pretty good about this perk. Crit hits, headshots, and hits to weak spots with throwable weapons apply poison for 5 seconds. Which, honestly, it's amazing. Next, we have a really cool perk here. It's called Accelerated Toxin. It says, strong attacks and thrown weapons used against poison enemies instantly deal substantial poison damage, then remove all poison effects. This perk works, and I know some of you may have already tested it on your own, and you probably didn't see any substantial poison damage anywhere, but let me explain. Whenever you deal damage to an enemy, and there's bonus damage, on your screen you will see 2 numbers. The bonus damage and the addition of the bonus and your normal damage on top of the enemy. However, your regular damage doesn't show up. So, let me show you an example here. I used a throwable weapon to hit an enemy affected by toxic, and this number at the bottom is the quote-unquote poison damage, and I know it's not green like you'd expect, but that's just how it works. The reason why it works this way is because if they coded this extra damage as green, like actual toxic damage, it would create a poison effect dealing damage over time, and the whole purpose of this perk is to remove all poison effects. so that's why you don't see green numbers. Now, the number at the top is the addition of this bonus damage and the normal damage this throwable knife does. And obviously, the damage that the normal knife does, just the normal damage, is not showing. And that's just how it is. It happens in many other instances of bonus damage. So yeah, hope that makes sense. So basically, if the top number is 272 and the bottom number is 122 poison damage, then the invisible number was my 150 damage with the knife. And I tested this so many times to come to this conclusion. If you don't believe me, go ahead and test it for yourselves. Next up, we have neurotoxin. This one says, applying poison to an enemy via scorpion sting now also applies blinding and disables sprinting for 6 seconds. Pretty obvious that it works. Next up, we have parasite. It increases your health by 15 points whenever you do crit hits and headshots with thrown weapons. And honestly, this isn't a huge deal. I mean, 15 health is nothing. It's not 15%. It's like literally just 15 points of health. It's nothing crazy. However, when you pair it with this perk over here that guarantees crits with your knives in certain situations, maybe you can get good use out of this one. Then we have this perk over here. It's called Corrosion. This one says it allows you to apply poison to mechs, robots, drones, and turrets. Moving on, we have Juggler. This one, at level 1, it reduces recovery time for throwable weapons even more. At level 2, it gives you headshot and weak spot damage with throwable weapons. And at level 3, it instantly resets throwable weapon cooldown if you neutralize an enemy with a headshot, crit hit, or poison. Right next to it, you have Pay It Forward. After retrieving a thrown knife or axe from an enemy, your first melee attack with a throwable weapon gains 200% damage. So let me show you this example. With this knife, whenever I knife an enemy, I usually deal around 30 damage. But when I use this perk, and I use it the way it's supposed to be used, basically hitting an enemy after retrieving a weapon, I deal 90 damage instead, which is 3 times the damage or plus 200% damage. Then we have Sleight of Hand. You gain 20% crit damage for 8 seconds whenever Juggler is active, and you can actually stack this 5 times. So at 5 stacks, you gain 100% increased critical damage, which is insane. And for anyone wondering, this increase in crit damage applies to every single weapon. So I know that it says there that it only affects throwable weapons, but that is not true. Obviously, you can only create Juggler stacks with throwable weapons. However, these stacks of Sleight of Hand increase your crit damage to any weapon ever choosing. So you can get like 5 stacks with knives and then switch to a sniper and shoot a enemy. And I don't know, but that's a cool thing I found about this perk. Next, we have a finisher. Act of Mercy unlocks a throwable weapon finisher. You press F on an enemy when they're low, and it automatically activates Juggler. And it also restores 25% of your health. And it's really good to combine this one with Pounce, which allows you to perform finishers from a greater distance, which is amazing. You basically dash towards them, and it's a pretty long distance there. And finally, on this side of the tree, we have Style over Substance. You gain guaranteed crit hits with throwable weapons when crouch sprinting, sliding, dodging, or dashing. And there are no movement speed penalty when aiming a throwable weapon. The thing that I recommend with this perk is abusing the dash and dodge. Because when you dash or dodge, you don't have to immediately throw it. Like, you can literally take your sweet time after dashing and you'll get this guaranteed crit. As you see in this gameplay, I'm just taking my time. However, when you slide or you crouch sprint, you have to do it while you're doing those movements, and it's a little bit tougher to hit your shots that way. Moving on, we have Focus. At level 1, you gain 10% headshot and weak spot damage, and at level 2, you unlock Focus Mode. And Focus Mode automatically activates when you aim while at full stamina. Focus is going to last you 2.5 seconds. When active, there is no stamina cost for shooting. However, when it ends and you let go of your ADS, you lose 40 stamina. And we have No Sweat. This is actually really good to use with Focus if you're going to be using Focus. You reduce the stamina cost by 50% from Focus Mode for each enemy neutralized while it was active. So, If you kill an enemy while using focus, when you lose focus, you'll only lose 20 stamina, and if you kill 2 or more, you basically don't use any stamina. You can also make this even easier for yourself by using head-to-head. With head-to-head, when focus is active, neutralizing an enemy with a ranged attack resets his duration. So essentially, you can use focus the whole time as long as you're getting kills. And to make it even easier, you have Deep Breath, which slows down time by 25% for you and enemies when focus is active. So, essentially, you focus up, you get kills, and you keep getting kills, and then that slow down time gives you a bit more time to get those kills before focus runs out. And essentially, you can get it to where you can just kill a whole group of enemies without getting off of focus. Next up, we have Pool. It says when focus is active, shooting grenades out of the air is easier and the blast is more powerful. So if you guys didn't know, you can actually shoot grenades out of the air. Let me show you how. I'm gonna throw this one. I'm gonna throw this one. See that? So you can shoot them out of the air. So all this does is it makes it easier. And I don't know how they make it easier. It's not that hard to hit those grenades, to be honest. However, they do deal more damage. As you can see in this example, I know the grenades aren't placed in the exact same spot, but I tested this so many times, and for the most part, the damage difference was about this. And for anyone that's wondering, you can shoot any type of grenade out of the air. I mean, I could switch to what would be a dumb thing to switch to. I don't know, this recon grenade. You can also shoot this one in the air, you see? So it doesn't matter what grenade it is, you can shoot it out of the air. Next up, we have Rinse and Reload, plus 10% reload speed for your next reload after neutralizing an enemy while aiming, and this stacks twice. These stacks will reset to 0 whenever you reload or start aiming again. As you see here, I get 2 kills while aiming. Keep in mind, it doesn't need to be during focus mode, however, it's better, right? It's better if you do it during focus mode. You don't have to, but you can. Anyway, I get 2 stacks of Rinse and Reload, and here you can see the duration at the top, and if I aim in or reload, the stacks disappear. With 2 stacks, obviously, I get a 20% increase to my reload speed. Moving on, we have Deadeye. At level 1, it increases headshot and weak spot damage by 10%. At level 2, it decreases my stamina cost for shooting. And at level 3, we got a pretty powerful thing. It unlocks Deadeye, which is active above 85% stamina. When active, you gain 20% headshot damage, 20% increase to your weak spot damage, and no bullet spread. So first off, this 20% increase to your damage to headshots or weak spot is multiplicative with already your damage total. So it is nuts. 20% increase to your overall damage, even with those crits, is insane. Anyway, look at this screen right now, and you see that yellow marker in the middle of your crosshair? That means Deadeye is currently active because my stamina is above 85%. And if I shoot, obviously I'll get that damage increase to headshots and weak spot damage, but it also has no bullet spread. And the easiest way to see it here is with this lazy pistol. I'm shooting and this is the normal spread from this distance. However, when Deadeye is active, as you see, the spread is much less. In fact, there is no spread. Moving on, we have Quick Draw. This one says it increases weapon swap speed by 30% when swapping to pistols, revolvers, sniper rifles, and precision rifles. And it also increases stamina by 30% when swapping during combat. And this one also took me a bit to test because there was some weird stuff going on. But let me tell you, this perk definitely works. And you might encounter this. Sometimes you'll switch to a weapon of one of these weapons, the pistols, revolvers, precision rifles, or sniper rifles, and you'll notice that instead of regenning 30 stamina, it actually slows down your stamina regen. However, that is a visual bug, people, okay? I tested this so many times. In fact, here's an example where my stamina starts regenning slowly. However, I shoot and the stamina I lose starts from the top as if my stamina was full. So yes, I know it's weird, but it works. It's a visual bug. And then now that we're talking about visual bugs, I wanted to mention, which one is it? This one, California Reaper. It does the exact same thing. So with California Reaper, you gain 30% stamina after neutralizing an enemy with the ranged attack via headshot or weak spot. And same thing can happen. You gain the 30% stamina, but sometimes instead of gaining, it like slows down your regen. Ignore that. It's a visual bug. This one does work as well. Moving on, we have Long Shot. It says when Deadeye is active, your shots always deal full damage regardless of distance. So as long as you're above 85% stamina, which guarantees you Deadeye, you'll deal full damage. Of course, with Deadeye. Not every single time exactly, but you know what I mean. Anyway, it's a pretty good perk, honestly. We have High Noon as well. And this one says when Deadeye is active, it increases reload speed by 35% for your next reload after neutralizing an enemy via headshot or weak spot. This effect is only available for 3 seconds after getting the kill. And keep in mind, this slows down time by 50% during reload. So you might be using this and you might think, what? I'm reloading at the exact same speed. Keep in mind, it's slowing down time by 50%. So here you can see a side by side. On one side, I have 2 stacks of rinse and reload and no stack of High Noon. On the other side, I have 2 stacks of rinse and reload, but this time I do have a stack of High Noon. As you can see, they look like they take the same amount of time as if this wasn't working, but that's just because High Noon slows down time. So in order to show you how it works, I actually doubled the speed of the clip with High Noon. And it turns out that High Noon does work because I am reloading faster, as you see here. Next up, we have this perk over here, and it says when Deadeye is active. Once again, that's only when my stamina is above 85%. Anyway, you gain guaranteed crit hits for headshots and weak spots, and it increases damage as distance increases. And some of you are probably wondering, well, how far do I have to be? So let me just show you. So I tested this quite a bit, and honestly, for those enemies around this distance, I was doing 25% damage, even less, even like around here. So around this distance, you'll be fine. Also tested on these guys over here. And with the sniper rifle, I was getting the max damage I could get from here with this sniper. Oh, where is it? Oh, no. There you go. So I was doing the max damage from here. Let me show you. So where am I? Do I have that perk activated? No, I don't. But now I do. And there you go, 1600. So yeah, now I'm gonna do insane distance to show you that I'm not gonna do more than 1600. Oh, you get in the way, really, bro? Let's just do it from here. Let's shoot this guy. There you go, it's 1568. I even did less, so yeah, you don't have to be that far away. Anyway, the last perk we need to go over is Run and Gun, and it only affects pistols. Hip firing does not consume stamina, and when focus is active, you gain 25% movement speed. So honestly, focus, you activate it by aiming in. So I don't really see the point. I mean, you do move faster with pistols like this. And you walk so slow, but it is faster. I've already tested it. And let's read what else is on this. This one's pretty cool, honestly. So when you aim in and walk, that's focus active. You do gain movement speed. I mean, I've already tested it, but I mean, who wants to do that? Who's going to move while focus is active? Anyway, what's cool is that hip firing does not consume any stamina, which means that you always have Deadeye active with pistols, which is kind of crazy. Like, I just go crazy like that. Although this perk is so awesome, do keep in mind that this is just for pistols, and this is only for revolvers, precision rifles, and sniper rifles. Anyways, guys, that is all I wanted to cover in this video. If you guys found it helpful or informative in any way, shape, or form, feel free to drop a like. And if you want to subscribe for more content, you can do so as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Peace out.